So instead of negating Q, I've decided to negate P, and that will work nicely into the rest of the example. So um, I've just rewritten the truth table for PQ and written not P in parentheses conjunction Q, and rewritten their truth values, the truth columns, if you want to call them that, under P and Q. So because the parentheses are around the negation, we want to evaluate that first. And what do we do for that? Well, negation just flips the truth value, so I'll do that quickly. And then we want to consider the conjunction of this with Q. And so we're no longer interested in P, we're interested in the conjunction of negated P with Q. So we want to look at the truth column underneath the tilde, and then see where those have true truth values when Q has true truth values. Because again, with conjunction, we're looking for where both are true. So in the first one, on the left-hand side, we have false, so we're going to get false. And then on the second line, both are false, so it's going to be false. On the third line, both are true, so that one's going to be true. And then on the last line, the right-hand is false, and so it'll be false. And that will be the truth table. And so now, word on parentheses. If I shift the parentheses, I'll get a different truth value. So let's consider this expression. This expression with no parentheses whatsoever is, strictly speaking, an indeterminate expression. It's not a what we call well-formed formula, because I don't know whether or not my negation is supposed to be applied to just P, or if it's supposed to be applied to P and Q, considered as a single proposition. The parentheses don't make that explicit. Now, we have a bit of a standard convention that negation has the narrowest scope that you can possibly interpret it to make. So when the parentheses are not explicit, then you can usually figure out what the parentheses are supposed to be, because we just have this informal convention. But it is informal, so if we want to be very rigorous, then we'll always include the parentheses. But very often in practice, we omit them when the meaning is obvious. Like in this case, if we didn't have, or we don't have parentheses, and so we would interpret this as sort of having implicit parentheses around the negated P. We can just sort of assume that because that's the rule that we adopt. But it doesn't matter where the parentheses go. And let's see that. Let's evaluate this when I shift the parentheses. So now I want to, the parentheses tell me to evaluate the conjunction first. And we've already seen what the conjunction of P and Q looks like, so I'll just write that quickly. And then we want to take the negation of the conjunction, and so we have to flip the truth values that correspond to the conjunction, and I'll do that quickly. And so it doesn't take a long memory to realize that the previous case had just one truth value. It was false, false, true, false. But if all you remember is that it had one truth value, well, this one has three true truth values. And so it's definitely not the same truth table. And so these two propositions are expressing different things. They have different truth conditions. And it makes sense, because if we were to say, let's go back to saying P is, it's raining outside and Q is the Republican won the office. If I say not P, comma, and Q, so parentheses around the not P, then I'm saying, one, it's not raining, and two, the Republican has not won the office. Uh, so that's in some sense a strong claim because I need those two things to be each true. Whereas with this sentence, I am saying, uh, consider the statement P and Q. Consider the statement, uh, it's raining outside, and uh, the Republican won uh, the office. There, that's a bit of a weaker statement because, or sorry, I'm talking about the denial of that. So consider the statement where P and Q, and I negate that, I deny that. So I take this sentence, it's raining outside, and the Republican won the office. I deny that. I deny that both are true. When I do that, all I need is one of them to be false, and I've made a true statement. So it's in some sense a weaker statement because I need less in order to get a true statement. Um, so so you can see how intuitively these two sentences ought to be different, and here we see formally why that's so, by keeping track of the truth values. So next thing that we're going to talk about is disjunction. Disjunction is another truth functional connective like and. It takes two propositions, forms a new proposition out of the two, and in the next installation I will talk about its truth table.